Let's talk now about what kind of business you're going to have. Think for a minute about what products and services you plan to offer in your business. If you would, in your materials that were shared with you, you should have received a file called Market Analysis Target Audience. If you print that file out, that will be something that will be helpful to refer to in this session. So across the top of that file, you're going to see product or service 1, product or service 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Take a minute and write down the various products or services that you plan to offer through your business. Let's use, for example, a lawn care business. In your lawn care business, you may cut the grass. That may be one service that you offer. You may actually do landscaping, which would be a different service that you might offer. About what you're going to offer in your business and what products or services you're going to offer. So take a minute and do that, and then we'll go on to the next step. Let's say your lawn care business and service number 1 is going to cut grass. My first question to you is, who is going to buy your product or service? Who's going to be your best customer for lawn mowing? Your first response might be anybody and everybody. Everybody can buy your product or service. You're certainly happy to cut anyone's grass. But you have some customers who will be better customers for you than others. And there may be some people that are going to be better potential customers. So let's walk through what that customer might look like. So is the person who makes the decision to have the lawn cut, the grass mowed, do they tend to be male? Do they tend to be female? Or are they both? So you can think about that, and there could be different answers to that. It may be the male makes the decision because they're the most concerned about it being right. It may be the female that makes the decision because she doesn't have anyone to do it and doesn't want to do it herself. It could be an older person of either gender who isn't able to mow their lawn anymore. But unfortunately, a lot of people in that situation tend to be older women. So maybe women may be a market that you're trying to reach, and maybe that's a market that you want to reach. Maybe you see that that's the best option in your market is older women. So let's say that's your target. You're targeting older women. So your customers are female, and your age range would probably be maybe 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus. It's whatever you think would make sense in your market. For the sake of comparing what you might do with a different type of product, let's say you're opening a toy store. So you have a retail toy store. So you're going to have the main object you're going to sell, product you're going to sell are toys. So you might put one of your products or services as toys. I mean, that's the main thing you're selling. You may find that maybe that breaks out into some different categories. Maybe there are baby toys. Maybe there are learning toys for older children. Maybe there are games for adults. So those could all be different products or services that you offer in a retail store. So back to our analysis of who your customer is. Let's say you're selling baby toys and we're trying to figure out who that customer is. Is that customer male or female? Again, anybody can and will buy. Maybe in that case, it's also a female. In the age range, you might find when someone's buying for a baby, it might be mom. And so it might be somebody in their 20s and 30s. It might be grandma. And grandma tends to spend more money, let me tell you. So it might be somebody, again, in their 50s, 60s, or 70s that's in the age range. They're buying baby toys. Now, what geographic area are you looking at selling to? If you are mowing lawns, you probably don't want to drive too far away to mow your lawns. It would not be cost effective to drive 100 miles to mow somebody's lawn. So you probably are thinking within 2, 3, 4, 10 miles at the most of your house. You don't really want to drive even all over the county to mow lawns. If you are selling toys, if you're selling baby toys, your walk-in customers might be mostly from the community you're in. They might also be from an area beyond that. If you're a specialty store that, say you're the only actual toy store in a big region, your customers might come 30 to 50 miles to buy your toys because you may be the only place they can go and look at toys and buy them. If you're selling your toys online, then you may have an even broader market. You may be able to sell people toys from all around the country or all around the world. So think about what geographic area you're targeting. Then look at what who is another thing you can look at when you're considering who's going to buy your product or service is it an individual or is it a business? With the example of toys, most likely you're selling to an individual. If it's lawn mowing, you might be selling to an individual or you might be selling to a business. You might want to do lawn care for commercial operations, businesses around your community. That might be a different product or service than residential lawn care. It might be a different column on your form. Maybe the person making the decision about procuring lawn care for a major industry or a major business in the community might be a totally different kind of person than the person deciding to have their lawn mowed at their house. So think about how they look and how that might be different. The next thing to look at is income level. And again, that's dictated by the types of products and services that you're offering. If you're doing commercial lawn care, the price point of your product your service may be higher than the person mowing the lady next door's yard. So their income level may be different. The woman next door may be on Social Security or retirement of some sort. The person making the decision about commercial lawn care may be someone making $150,000 a year. So how you approach those two customers would be very different. The same thing with toys. You may be trying to sell low-priced toys that are available to anybody and everybody. They might be even used toys in some cases that might be a lower price, in which case, your customer probably is going to have a lower income level and they would appreciate that lower price. If any of you are parents or grandparents, you probably know about brands of toys that are pretty expensive. Now they supposedly last, they have better quality, but they can be very expensive toys, even for babies. If they're very expensive toys, probably your customer is going to have a higher income level to be able to afford those. So again, how you market to that customer will be different, the two different types of customers. Looking at the question of children at home. Obviously, in the toy market, that's going to be a factor. There's children involved in your life somewhere if you're going to be buying toys for them. In the lawn care option, maybe, maybe not. In fact, maybe not is the answer in that case, especially if your target is older residents and businesses. Children are not a factor at all. Homeowner. When you're selling toys, you don't care if people own their home or not. When you're selling lawn care, it might make a difference. If someone owns their own home, they're more likely to pay for lawn care than if they're renting. Likely because a lot of renters are in multifamily dwellings, and so therefore a landlord is paying for that. So if that case, it's more back to the discussion about selling to a commercial operation as opposed to selling to an individual. Another line on the form is to estimate the number of potential customers in those categories. Not something we're going to get into here, but you can go to census.gov and actually look at the demographics you've looked at, and that'll help you figure out if there's enough customers in that category to make your business successful. So now the next step is to take all of your products and services that you put on the top of the front page or the first page of that form, and then go to the next step And the next page in that file is going to have products and services across the top of it too. So just move those same products and services over to this one. So we're going to be thinking about the same services in the same order. The next step is we're looking at competition. So who sells it now? If you're selling something, unless you've come up with an absolutely unique, brand new product that fills a need people never knew they had, then you have competition of some sort. So in the case of lawn care, who sells it now? It could be other providers. It could be other lawn care businesses that are out there. So you'll want to look, search on Google and or look around your community and see who is doing this. They may or may not be listed on Google. They might be listed in a service directory in a newspaper. But those are the folks that are the most interested, that are out there doing commercial lawn care, and that may be commercial lawn care for residential business too, but somebody, an actual business doing that. Who else might do lawn care that would be competing with you? Well, maybe the little boy down the street who's trying to make some extra money and he comes down and wants to mow the lady next door's lawn. So, that's a wonderful thing. Many people started their business careers mowing lawns for people in their neighborhood. But if you're going to come in as a business, you're going to have additional costs that little boy doesn't have. So you're going to have trouble competing with them. And so when we're look at the bottom questions of why do people buy from them and why will people buy from you instead, the little boy is the little boy that she knows. He's a neighbor. She knows his parents. She wants to help him out. That might be why she's buying from him. It might be cheaper. Why they might buy from you instead is maybe you won't mow down her roses. Maybe you'll do a better job and you'll show up when you're supposed to because you're a professional lawn care provider. Let's see. And again, on commercial lawn care, the same thing. You want to find out who's doing that level of work today, and then how are you going to offer that? In that case, a competitor might be that the business is paying an employee to do it, and there again, it may be cheaper in the long run for them to have you do it rather than have an employee and the workman's comp and all the costs associated with that. Back on the toys, as we were looking at the toys for babies, there are fewer and fewer toy stores in the country today. So if you have a toy store, you may be very unique. You may be the only actual true toy store in your market. But where are people buying toys? Most little kids have toys. Where are people buying toys today? They might be buying them at big box retail stores. So they might be buying them at Kohl's or at Target. They might be buying them at the superstores like Meijer or Walmart, where there's groceries and there's all kinds of other things, including toys. Where else might they be buying them? They might be buying them online. They might be going to Amazon or directly to the factory and finding these toys and buying them that way. So, those are your competitors. Now, what are the benefits? What are they, why would they buy from them? Why they buy from you? Probably if you're going to a Walmart or a Meijer or a Target to buy toys, one of the benefits they offer is selection. They might have a greater selection of toys than what you might have. And they may be able to have more in stock. They may have agreements with all of these manufacturers that allow them to sell these cheaper because they're selling them in stores across the country. You may not be able to buy in the volume that they will, so your prices may be higher. One of the things you have to think about, what can you do differently if you're selling toys that other people are selling cheaper? Could you sell toys they don't sell? The unique kinds of toys, maybe a little higher scale toys. Again, your grandma might be your best choice for those. So how are you going to reach those? How are you going, so that you're going to set yourself up in a niche of selling toys that are not available other places, and maybe a higher quality of toys. The other thing we've been playing with, the idea of playing with baby toys, But in reality, let's say you were selling games. Some of the same competitors are out there, but maybe one of the things by selling games that you could offer in a small store that you couldn't in a major store like that is game night, where you can invite people in, they come in, they play the games. And that's a chance for them to test out different kinds of games and have an enjoyable evening and a family night, and then decide, hey, this is fun, I want to buy this and take it home to play with my kids or my family or my friends on an ongoing basis. So there are ways to target your customer differently as a small store than you could as a large store, even though your prices could ultimately be higher. Okay, so that takes us through the analysis, and you would go through that analysis for each type of product or service you sell. Now that we've analyzed your customer and know who will be your best customer to buy your product or service, let's talk about how to reach that customer. Traditional media has changed a great deal in recent years. 30 years ago, a newspaper may have been the best way to reach any market that you were trying to reach, because 85% of the people in any given market area read the daily newspaper. Today, that isn't true. At least it's not true for the print edition of the newspaper. The vast majority of readers of a print edition today are people 50 plus. If that's your target audience, this is still a good way to reach that target. Consider when you're looking at placing an ad in the daily newspaper, how to further target your audience. If you are reaching primarily men, you may be interested in running an ad on the sports pages, or you may be looking at a generic audience. Main news may be your best spot. If you are targeting customers to sell them a service of some sort, the classified pages may still be a good resource for you. But just keep in mind that the newspaper business has changed from where it used to be, but it may still be a good vehicle for your business. Magazines are another way to target an audience through a print medium. Because they're targeted by interest, it helps you can match it up with your demographic, and you may find that local and regional magazines could be your best option from a price standpoint. You might look at an Auto Trader magazine. There may be a regional homes-related magazine of some sort that focuses on home decor items. Magazines are good because they are a high-quality product as a rule, and the high-gloss finish lends that quality to your product or service. So it's something to consider. Radio. Again, a medium that has changed a great deal. That said, is also a great way to target demographics. Radio formats tend to reach different demographics depending on the format. A country music station will probably reach a different audience than a classical music station. Your local radio providers will be able to tell you who their station is especially good at reaching. That said, radio stations, like newspapers, have had many competitors emerge, and as a result, often when someone gets in their car, which used to be a prime audience for radio listeners, they may not turn to their local radio station. They may be listening to national radio through satellites. They may be listening to their favorite music on their phone through their car. So just understand that while many people do still listen to local news stations and local radio stations, it may not reach the number of people that you are hoping that it will. But it will give you a great way to target your audience and use an audio aspect to tell your story about your business. Radio also offers quick turnaround. Television. Local television stations, while general network stations tend to reach a broad audience and may be expensive to buy, you may find that even regional television network stations offer special packages to different small communities for various times of year. So if you have an opportunity to run on a network, station, that may be your best bet from a numbers standpoint and a value standpoint. But keep in mind, again, you're reaching a large audience. You may reach people you don't need, so you may be overbuying for your business. You also have costs associated with TV that you don't in other medium. Television typically adds production costs where others do not. So you may have to pay for them to actually come out and film the ad for you, the commercial spot. But another option with television beyond network stations are cable stations, which give you an even finer demographic breakdown. So you may want to consider an ad on the Food Network if you sell kitchen-related items or food-related items. You may want to consider an ad on ESPN if you're a sports bar, you're targeting young men in another fashion. So those are options to consider. And again, local cable stations tend to be a better price point for a small business, and they may offer you packages that would include your production. So that may be a good option to consider as well. Next, we look at billboards. Billboards, outdoor advertising is a wonderful way to reach an audience who may be transitory. If people are driving down an interstate, they're going to see your billboard. They may be driving down a busy street in your community and see your billboard. But you have to focus and get their attention very quickly because they don't have a lot of time to read a billboard as they're driving by. So usually you just put a few words on the billboard. Billboards work best if you are in a market where you're trying to attract people off of an interstate into your community for your product or service. So if you are a restaurant or an entertainment facility, a billboard may be a good way to draw people that might not normally know you're in the market off the interstate to buy from you. In the community, it may build awareness. Billboards are not exceptionally cheap. They are also an expensive item, and they also require you to pay separate production costs for the paper that they're going to put on the billboard. So therefore, again, it depends on the size of business and the type of business you have, whether that may be a good buy for you. Another option to look at is business cards, and nearly everyone, even today, could certainly invest the $30 or so it might take to buy a box of business cards. You will want to leave them with prospective clients if you're any type of a service business or you're selling to doing business-to-business sales. Having a business card is going to be very important. There are various ways to use business cards when you're working with your clients. You may even make your business card into a magnet that they can put on their refrigerator. So it's a good reminder, a good leave behind kind of piece. A flyer is another option. A brochure could be a brochure, could be a single 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. But it's something you can design on your home computer, or you can have a professional help you and design it. There are many online programs that can help you with that. And when you're finished, you can print the number you need or have them sent off and printed and brought back to you to be distributed in many different ways. You may just have more detail that you want to have available for people to pick up in your store about what you do and what you provide. You may want to mail those off to folks in another capacity that we'll talk about next. The next medium you might want to consider is direct mail. You could send flyers to your existing customers to tell them about new services or special offers, or you may want to buy a mailing list and send it to prospective customers. So these types of vehicles for advertising and marketing to your customers are considered traditional advertising vehicles. They've been around for many, many, many years, and people have come to find them to be a way that they're used to turning to find advertising and more information about businesses, as well as just general entertainment information. Next, let's talk about the new media. Today, in this world, you really are going to have a website in some fashion. A website and good exposure on Google search has become the replacement for Yellow Pages. When someone is looking for anything from products and services, locally to nationally, they'll do a Google search for that first of all. So they will give more credence to your business if your business has a professionally designed website. So if at all possible, consider that. Be sure to use your website to sell your product or service if you have that, if that makes sense in your type of business. People can actually place orders, you can arrange for shipment. And today there are many different options on how to set websites up, whether you hire someone to help you do that or whether you do it yourself online. But it is you need to have that exposure, and your website should reflect who you are as a business, and not only just say what you do, but it should give the look and feel of what your business is. Next is social media. For many people, their first website is actually a Facebook business page. When you are creating your page, be sure you're not just creating another account on Facebook, you're actually adding a business page. So please go up to the upper right-hand corner in your own personal Facebook page, and it'll say add a page. You're going to create a business page that fits your business. They'll walk you through the type of business that you have and what kind of page you will need. A Facebook business page is a free option. They do not charge for that. It allows you to post pictures, regularly post information. You can make posts every hour if you want to, but you definitely should you should make posts to your Facebook page at least 2 to 3 times a week and post pictures so that people are seeing what's going on in your business. When you may also want to consider a paid option, which is to boost those posts. So when we went through our chart and analyzed who your customer was for each of the various products and services you offer, here's where you can use that information. And if you are promoting a specific service or product that has a definite customer, make sure you're targeting that customer for a boosted post on Facebook. That way your post will go to people who are not your normal page followers, and it will show up on their news feed, anybody who matches in the demographic that you've created in your post. You may look at targeting by geographic area. You may target by interest, by age, by income level, by just a wide, anything you can think of can become a target that you can allow you to pare down the 75% of every demographic that reads Facebook in every market into an area that makes sense for you to reach out to. Your cost on this is really very low compared to other medium. You may be able to spend $10, you may be able to spend $50, but you're going to reach a good segment of the population that you're trying to reach. And then you will be able to hopefully get them to follow your page and come to your business. The next thing to remember is newsletters and email blasts from a technological standpoint, a digital standpoint of how to reach your customer. What we used to be able to send off in a direct mail piece is now something that is easily converted to a digital email blast. So you may want to send the kind of information about a special sale or a new product or service out in an email to your customers. You're going to want to gather email addresses in any way that you can, whether you have a special giveaway, people sign up and include their email address, and an acknowledgement that they'd like to have you send them email information. And then you can gather those. You can manage those email lists through services such as Constant Contact or MailChimp that will help you manage the fact that some people will unsubscribe to your emails. Once that happens, you cannot send them other emails, and so it's good to have some type of a system that helps you keep track of who's unsubscribed. But do remember to not abuse the email privilege, because email, like direct mail, has become a place that people are getting a lot of information they haven't requested necessarily, and so they are maybe not reading through everything as carefully as they used to. So you have to use a good headline to draw people into the email and not abuse them by sending out too many emails. but it is a good way to reach your customers and people who have had contact with your business. So those are some of the pieces that we want to think about. We've talked about traditional media, we've talked about the new media and the new ways to reach people. And there are some things that are certainly not new, but we should never forget. Those include free publicity. Let's say you're just opening your business. Send a press release out to newspapers and radio stations and let them know. They may run it, they may not. But if they do, it's information that's out there and it's not a paid ad. It's free information. But it can be done beyond when you start your business. You could be adding a new product line, a new service line. You may partner with an organization that's a local organization in your community, and then send out a press release promoting that partnership. Maybe you have a special event that you're involved in, or a special event that you're promoting. Anything like that that you share with local media and they pick up, if it gets your name out in front of your potential customers, it's a good thing. So don't forget free publicity as an option. Another thing to remember is signage, whether it's signage inside your business, outside your business, or on a vehicle that's associated with your business. Make sure it's easy to read, it communicates what you need it to communicate. It may be your hours, whether or not you're open. If it's the signage with the name of your business, again, make sure it reflects the similar feeling and color and branding concept of everything else that you've done. So be sure signage inside and outside is professionally done and fits in with the brand for your company. And then finally, one of the things that we forget often when we're talking about how to market our business is the importance of direct sales. You yourself may be the one that deals most frequently with customers, or you may have employees that deal directly with customers in your business. Regardless, that is the person who has the greatest chance to maximize the sale from the customer who is in your business already. They're there, they're ready to spend money. If you can help them find what they want to buy, and you can add on information, add on products, add on whatever makes sense for them to have had a good experience and get a value out of what they're buying from you, they will remember that. So they don't want to be helped too much. You don't want to hover over your customers, but you need to be there to help them and to help them enhance their experience with you so that they will come back again. And that is one of the most important things. Any advertising that you do, any marketing that you do, is all about getting that customer in the door. What happens once they're in the door is the most important piece of the whole puzzle. So make sure that you give them a good experience, you give them good customer service, so that they'll not only be a great customer that time, but they'll come back again and again. In your packet of information, you have a marketing strategy sheet that explains each of the medium we've discussed and the pluses and minuses to each. You also have two different examples, one using our lawn care business we have been using exercises today, and one using the toy store. Sheet in your files, or print off the sheet in your files on marketing strategy, and think about how you will market your business and your products and services, which medium makes the most sense, and which one you'd like to emphasize in your budgeting. So please take a moment, stop the recording, and walk through that process. Thank you.